Yeah, so I'm just like, look, right now we are currently in the middle of a hearing fighting to get on this ballot, right? Because Illinois, if many of you guys are not aware, is one of the worst states in the nation. 5555 confirmation, right? That has the worst access to the ballot, okay? Because of these restrictions that are damn near impossible to overcome, all right? So the position I'm running for governor requires 25K, 25,000, while the major parties, Dems and Republicans, only need, what, 5,000, 5K? No. If they truly cared, anybody in Springfield, any of those politicians, including Pritzker, if they really cared about the people's voice, about voting rights, about equality and equity, none of them should be okay with any statute in Illinois right now that's sticking to those kinds of restrictions on anybody in the community that does not want to align with Democrats and Republicans. They keep power within the Democratic and Republican Party, because they do not, I repeat, and hear me closely when I say this, and I don't care about anyone in Springfield but what they say, because they cannot deny what I'm about to say. They do not want anyone in the community to challenge the status quo. That is why they have those regulations set so damn strict for anyone in the community. They are restricting the voice of the community. I am a member of the community. I am a member of the community. Anybody that wants to run as an independent or as a third party or Green Party, they don't want to hear your voice. So everything that they're doing up there, all those pretty little speeches, all those photo ops, performance, it's a spectacle. If we want change, we need to support these grassroots organizations. Change without change brings no change. If we continue to support, or if others continue to support the Republicans and Democrats, I'm letting you know right now, these folks that want to maintain the system up there within these parties, they are no different from the administration that's currently in the White House right now. Just because they're called Democrats don't mean they're democratic, because this part of the system for accessing the ballot is not democratic. So miss me with all that nonsense and all the lies. We're done with the narrative. We're done with the LARPing. We're done with all the show with all these legal actors. We're done. America has had enough. The people of the world has had enough with the United States government. We need a new party. We need to dismantle capitalism. And that's what needs to happen. And we need to get our voices on the ballot. I am willing to get on the front line and step against these people, all right, and confront them. But I need support to get on that ballot. My voice is your voice. Your voice is my voice. I am a member of this community, and I'm willing to challenge the status quo. So support me, please. Supporting me is supporting your community, and it's time that we wake up. These Democrats and Republicans do not care about anyone in Illinois, and that is a fact.
Well said.
You know, the last thing Dr. King said to me before he was murdered, Martin said, you know, I sit here deeply concerned that I suspect we are leading our nation on an integration trip that has us integrating into a burning house. Most of the politicians I know of make promises only to walk into the places of power and then deny us. I guess part of the reason I'm here is to really look through the ravages of the Democratic Party and see if anything is really worth salvaging.
All right. We may just have to open with that one every time.
Yeah.
I gotta follow that. Oh, God.
Wow. 25,000 signatures. That is awesome. Chicago.
That's come on. Those are rookie numbers. I need 45,000. Stop it. It's rookie numbers.
That's
Oh, yeah, you're right.
New York is.
I need 45,000 in 6 weeks in a part of the year where we still have snowstorms. And we know that we challenged them. So they need about 60,000 signatures because they'll be challenged at least, if not 65,000.
Is that how many signatures Diane Sayre got?
She got about 60, but she wasn't challenged. So we don't know how many she got.
Actually, I do, but I don't have it right in front of me. I think she got.
No, what I'm saying is she wasn't challenged, so we don't know what she got.
Wow.
They didn't challenge her because her race doesn't grant party access.
Oh, right. Okay.
Right. Her race is for a Senate. You only get party access in New York State for governor or president. That's it. So no one challenged her. So maybe she got 6,000. Maybe we don't really know. They never bothered to count. They didn't care. They just went, okay, good. They only want to stop you. New York is the worst. They only have to stop you if they think you'll become a party. If you won't become a party, they don't care. So they let Diane Sayre go on every time. They don't mind.
Huh. Well,
I love Diane. She's a friend of mine. I actually worked her booth. I think she's great. I love her.
Yeah. She, and there have been plenty of other efforts to stop her. But anyway, I want to thank you so much, Larry, and Griselda, for coming to the No Peasant panel. Larry, I have watched your show in the past, and I've been so busy I haven't watched it recently till like a few days ago. But your analysis is so perfect about like just sort of the way you play the clips and the media and then analyzing it. And that's why I said in the comments, I think it's all just political theater right now. We've been talking about that a little bit lately.
Well, I literally am a political consultant. So that's why I give people actual advice on how to move things forward. I don't care if you're Democrat, Republican, Independent. I give real advice. It's why I'm often right. Like if I'll say what's going to happen. 3 months later happens. 6 months later happens. All the time. I was the one who said that if the left wants to win after 2024, they have to go economically left. It's the only way. And they did. And that's why they're winning. Right? What Trump's coalition proved. Well, yeah. No, you're right. Yes, their rhetoric. Who knows what Democrats, Republicans are actually thinking? All we know is their rhetoric. What they're thinking is, I want to be in charge and rule people. That's what they're thinking. Their rhetoric is whatever it will take to rule them. So if they want to win and rule them, they have to actually say that. And so they'll say economically left stuff. If you notice, I just did a show just a couple hours ago with the Democrats now, the DSA side, saying, no wokeism. Woke is bad. Woke is bad. Woke is bad. Why? Because they're going economically left. So it makes sense. Do some of them still think woke is good? Of course. Some of them never cared about woke. They just said woke because they thought they would win. They didn't care. Those who didn't care about woke still don't. Those who cared about woke still do. The rhetoric has changed.
Right. And okay, so Griselda, you're both running for office. So Larry, take it away. Talk about your campaign for a second, then we'll go to Griselda.
Oh no, the reality of it is this is my third time running. And the part that is the most disheartening is in 2018, I ran and I actually won ballot access. The Libertarian Party became an actual party for the first time ever in history of ever. First time. So they usually don't care about that too much, but they did this time because I actually was building my party out. I actually wanted a grassroots party that could actually do something. That was my whole goal. And by the way, I fought with the Green parties to make sure that we can get ballot access because I'd like to actually have multiple parties on the ballot. That's actually a good thing.
That's
and I'd actually like to have
met first, Larry, because I was working with Randy Credico during the pandemic when WBAI shut down, and you and Howie Hawkins were on. Yep.
Howie Hawkins is my friend.
Yeah.
We're both Marines. I like him. He's in Syracuse right now, still working for like FedEx or UPS, something like that. Doing something like that. That's what he's doing right now. So yeah, I know Howie's. I've had him on my show multiple times. He's a pacifist Marine, just like I am. So yes, very happy about that. But so after that, I went from 15 county affiliates to 30. There are 62 counties in New York State. They saw me grow. Not just that. I had 107 local victories in 2019. So Libertarian Party had 107 local victories. When that happened, they went, okay, this guy's serious. We can't have that. And they changed all the rules. They went from 15,000 signatures in the summer, which you have things like state fairs and these go to 45,000 signatures in the early spring.
That's rough.
Yeah, just move the goalpost.
In the middle, they did it in the middle. This is the worst part. In the middle of a cycle. They just said middle cycle. No. So they didn't even wait till the next cycle. So I didn't have a chance to run on it. So I couldn't even get it. I never got ballot access. Because that's why I never got it. So in 2018, I get it. They changed it in 2020. So in 2020, when I run again, I have to reboot everything all over again. They didn't even let me keep it to the next cycle.
Wow.
And when I sued, they told me, go to hell. I raised $500,000 my first race, $500,000 my second race. And when I raised $500,000, most of it went into ballot access. I was in court 8 times. Every single judge told me to go to hell.
Wow.
Wow.
Well, this is
Yes.
what we're hearing from, I mean, what, Michael, almost every candidate. I know
Yep.
most recently, Lana LaGuia in New Jersey. She's,
Yep.
I
Another
guess,
libertarian.
technically, yeah, libertarian, but
Yep.
running independent, I guess, on the ballot there. But she's fighting this ridiculous fight.
Yep.
I mean, so,
Same thing.
and she made a comment, I made a clip out of it actually, because she said, you know, if more people understood, if the general public understood what you guys go through and how hard they're fighting to keep you off, then they wouldn't be thinking, oh, well, these candidates can't win, they're not viable. Because why would they bother with all this? If
This
you
was
weren't
the
threatened?
best reason that I love that RFK Jr. ran independent. Whether you like RFK Jr. or not, I was able to speak about ballot access more in 2024 than every libertarian combined the past 50 years before. I got on regular I was on News Nation, Fox News. I got on regular news stations talking about ballot access, which I've never done before. I've never been able to get people to even care about it. Like, what is that? They didn't understand. And now this new Tucker party. Again, whether you like Tucker or not, who cares? They're talking about ballot access now. Joe Kent was on mainstream. Joe Kent was on Tucker Carlson. Joe Kent was on TYT. Joe Kent was on, all different places. Manchin was on Face the Nation talking about ballot access. Not that I'm a Manchin fan or any of them, but they're all talking about it now, which is why I know the best chance for an actual third party, independent party, is now with Tucker's party, because they're talking about two things. Manchin's talking about a PAC, which we never have, and two, about ballot access, which no one talks about. This is the best chance. When I sue, I always add, I get all the different parties on. I bring the Constitution Party on, the Green Party on, because the more parties on it, the more chance we have to actually win this damn thing.
Well, I would say, and I'll let Griselda answer this after she introduces herself. I would say, and I called into George Galloway's show this weekend to talk about what we're doing here. And a caller just before me had said, I'm sorry, but Tucker Carlson is just not going to appeal to people. I believe she was in New York, African-American woman, and she was just like, no. So there's a problem there. Like, I think Massey might have more broad appeal because of things.
No. This does not matter. I'll be very clear. It does not matter. This is the thing they say, well, they can never win. Who gives a shit if they can win? The point is they affect the everything. Sure. And here's I have many points in this. The first point I'll bring up is RFK Jr. Trump didn't care about food or medicine. He had no comment on it whatsoever. He didn't care at all. In comes RFK Jr. He was polling everywhere between, say, 5 and 19%, depending upon which poll you're at. So you probably average around 12%, which means if independent, you poll at 12, you'll get 6. You're about half whatever you poll at. So that means Bobby Kennedy Jr. was probably going to get 4, 5, 6% of the vote. Trump's people saw that and went, oh my God, I want that. That's how I can actually beat Kamala Harris in the popular vote. I want that. So he agreed. He acquiesced. He said, oh, you do your food medicine thing. I don't care. Just give me them votes. Well, what I tell people is, if you think that, then find your issue and have someone run independent on that issue. Back in New York State years ago, we had a guy named Jimmy McMillan. And the name of his party was the Rent is Too Damn High Party. I'm not joking. That was the name of his party. The Rent is Too Damn High was his party. Was he ever going to win? No. But every single time that guy was on the stage, you had to talk about the rent. And if you wanted him to endorse you, you had to talk about the damn rent. Well, if you care about the rent or Medicare for all or Border Patrol or whatever is your issue, get that person to run independent and the other parties will have to move. It happens and they know that. That's why they keep us off the ballot, because they know they will have to move and change and adjust and do something if we're on the ballot.
Well, let's go to you, Griselda. I think that's a good point, but I worry that it might just cause more division. So I'll hand it. Introduce yourself and speak on that if you like.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me here. So yeah, my name is Griselda. I am running for governor here in the state of Illinois. It is my first time actually running, and this whole battlefield is all new to me. My day job is really just working in mental health field. So that's what I work and I do crisis. And what really had got me into wanting to get more involved was initially talking to a colleague of mine in the field about just what we do with the communities. And I told her I was like really fed up, and I'm like realizing everything that we do and the struggles that people are dealing with, like it's not just relationship issues, right? It's literally the system itself that's really coming down on people and families. And it's been increasing over time as I've been in the field and just hearing people discuss the inequities and the injustices that's happening that's impacting their lives, right? So, and I was just telling her these social programs, they're good. I'm not going to downplay them. They're beneficial, but how they don't really solve the problem, right? They're more like a band-aid basically for what's going on. And the work that I do is primarily crisis. So it's like we're just addressing the issue in the sense of how do we help you cope in that moment, but then you go back to your lived reality and you're still dealing with society, the system itself, and then you're right back again with the stressors, right?
Oh
So
yeah.
it's and we were just discussing this and we're like, and we came to the conclusion it's policy change. It's really policy, right? It's really what's impacting people's mental health, right? And even though some people may not see it going hand in hand, but they do, housing crisis, right? The homelessness, that's going to impact your mental health, right? Not even being able to access healthcare, even if you do have insurance, but you still can't afford it, so you're not going to certain doctor visits, right? Or just missing out on an ambulance, right? Because that's also a cost, right?
Yeah, but you're in Illinois, right?
Yeah.
So why would they change policy? It's the same as New York State. There's no need to change policy. The Republicans never going to win. As long as the Democrat wins the primary, they win the election. So why do they care what you think? That's my problem in New York. Republicans are ignored because their vote's irrelevant. It's almost 3-1 Democrat to Republican. And the Democrats, as long as you win the primary, you win. So they ignore Democrats because shut up, I'm going to win anyway. And they ignore Republicans because shut up, move to Florida. Don't you have the same problem?
It's very similar. Believe it or not, the reason why Illinois is primarily blue is because of Chicago, really. But it's really
same problem here.
It's really a red state overall, right? So there's a feud going on there, and Republicans really have a lot to say about the Democratic Party for sure. But it's just a huge issue with everything that I'm seeing that people are struggling with their daily lives. A lot of it impacting their mental health is because of the way that the system is designed, right? There's no flaws in it. This is just how it's meant to work. So I felt like I wasn't doing enough anymore to help these people. I can't just, here's some coping skills to manage your stress and your anxiety in the moment, but I can't leave you of this high bill that you can't afford, or not having enough money to afford your rent, or, dealing with a caller on a crisis line, trigger warning, but, telling me they're suicidal living in a tent next to a train station. So I'm trying to talk them out of it and convince them, hey, let's call your partner, let's go to the hospital, let's get you some help or talk you down, right? And that's a true story that actually that happened, right? So I'm literally on the line with a lot of these people who are even homeless, who have their phones, are even calling from being outside, right? Regardless of whatever the weather is, this is what they're facing, right? And are people living in their cars but still have a job? Right? If they're homeless, doesn't mean that they're unemployed. We have a good portion of people who are employed that are still homeless, right? Living out of their cars, or families with kids. So I didn't feel the work that I was doing, it's not that it wasn't impactful, but it wasn't solving the root cause of the issue, right? It's kind of like our medical system. It's like, here's a medication to help with the symptoms, but we're not getting to the root cause of the problem. And it's this system being maintained by both these parties that claim to care about the people and putting them first. But we're really seeing is that they're prioritizing capital gain, these investments, and those at the top. That's who they're loyal to, not to the people, right? So that's why I started to run, because I felt like we need to put the people first, finally. But it's just a lot of the issues with the system is the narrative, right? That the Democrats and Republicans tend to rub this conditioning that the Democrats are the savior of the American people, and that's not true. It's just that people are gotten so comfortable with the system and them doing this. It's like they're also been conditioned to believe that there is no other alternative. How else can we live outside of the system? This is what we're used to. No, that's what you've been conditioned to believe, but there is an alternative. It is possible. They just don't want you to be. It just doesn't benefit them to have a different life, because it's going to benefit you more than it is them,
Well,
right?
I'm going to add a piece to that if I could.
Yeah, go
They
ahead.
don't even bother doing it. And it's because I can't care about Griselda. I can't because if Trump wins, the world's going to end. Or if Mamdani wins, the world's going to end. So they keep saying that if the left wins, the world's going to end. So your issue is not that important. There's bigger issues. See, the Democrats have to win or Republicans have to win. Every election's the most important election of our lifetime. Every election, democracy's on the line. Every election that's happening, the fascists will take over every single time, right? Yes. Meanwhile, 90 million of us don't vote. Meanwhile, in the past 30 years, we've been in a straight decline, regardless. And I'll be very clear on this. If you lean left or right, it doesn't matter. If you lean left, Democrats have controlled the House, the Senate, the presidency, and the Supreme Court, sometimes all at the same time over the past 30 years. Where's your codification of Roe v. Wade? Where's your Medicare for all? Nowhere. If you lean right, no worries. Republicans have control the House, the Senate, Supreme Court, presidency, sometimes at the same time. Great. Where's your balanced budget amendment? Where's your border control? Nowhere. Where's your border legislation, your new immigration legislation? Nowhere. You don't get what you want out of the way because shut up, the other guys are evil. That's it.
No, yeah, absolutely. And that's something that we've been facing when we were out petitioning, which by the way, the dates for our petitioning usually tends to end towards the summer, where we still have like the events to go out to take advantage of all that, right? However, when it came to I'm sorry?
I said, thankfully. That's awesome.
Oh, yeah. Well, unfortunately for us, they actually changed the date. So we had to start February 24th.
Same to me.
Yeah,
Yes.
they changed the date. So we're in, obviously the Midwest, right? The weather is not that great. The rain, the snow, and then people sick, right? So we had very little opportunity to be out with the public when the events started happening around late spring, early May. So we didn't get a lot of the signatures that we needed, unfortunately, but we are looking into doing a write-in ballot for that to continue moving forward and fighting as we see an increasing number of folks that are recognizing that, okay, the Democrats are not they're both two wings, one bird, right? We've been hearing that a lot, but there's also been a huge popularity with independents now, right? Which I kind of have.
Yeah, but hold on, in your state, can you do a write-in without being approved write-in?
I have to fill out 110 forms. That's for the many districts that we have, get them
Yes.
each notarized and the declaration form of intent and submit that before the deadline, which is September 3rd.
Do you understand, everyone listening? May I curse? Is that okay if I swear here?
Sure.
How
Have at
fucking
it.
unconstitutional that is.
Yeah.
Literally, you write in your vote and they won't count it unless they decide that's a valid vote. Where in the Constitution does it say that? What the Constitution says is, I write in who I want, you fucking count it. That's the rules. And they said, no. If you follow our rules and jump through this, then we'll count your vote. No. I write in who I want and you count it. That's how it works. I want to put Mickey Mouse in. You put Mickey Mouse. I don't care. It doesn't matter. And every judge will get in front and look at that and go, sounds good to me. Judge, you're a goddamn embarrassment. You don't care about, this is the worst part. This is why we have a problem, Griselda, because the judges are all part of the same system. They're all elected by Democrats, Republicans. They're all proposed and put up by Democrats, Republicans. So they don't care about the Constitution. They don't give a shit about the Constitution. They care about their own power. If they cared about the Constitution, they would go, oh, why do we even have ballots? Ballots are new. Ballots are new. What used to happen is you'd walk in, write who you wanted, and give it to the guy and they count it. Then the parties took over. Now, here's the problem with that. The federal judges have said parties are private organizations. True, they are private organizations. You're right. Then why do we pay for the primaries?
Right. And I think a lot of people have forgotten about the DNC fraud lawsuit. I back in 2019, I think it was.
That's when it happened. That's when Bernie did it. That's when the judges said, literally, you're right, literally said the parties have no obligation to provide you free or fair elections. None.
Wow.
They said that.
Yeah.
So literally, if
That's
the
crazy.
Democrats or Republicans, that's a federal law. I'm not making that up. Federal judge said that. So literally, if they want to decide we're going to flip a coin, and whoever wins the coin flip is our nominee, that's legal. Now, I'm actually not mad at that, Kelly. I'm not mad at that. What I'm mad at is why are we paying for their primaries?
Right.
My taxpayer dollars. In which case, in most states, are closed primaries. So I have to pay for a Democratic primary that I can't vote in, and not just. I'm not just on that. I'm going one step further. Why are they putting their names on the ballot? What do I mean by that? They put Republican and Democrat on the ballot. That means the Republicans, Democrats control the ballot and promote their parties on a ballot. That's the government marketing political parties. Political parties are not part of our Constitution. In fact, our Constitution specifically says there should be no political parties.
I encourage anyone that's interested in that issue to start going to open primaries meetings. I believe there was a lawsuit that went all the way to the Supreme Court. Do you know about that, Larry?
I don't.
It's a guy in Florida. I'm sorry, I can't remember the specific details. But yeah, he said basically, you're forcing me to choose a party. And that's like, it's a First Amendment issue. But, speaking about the Constitution, I mean, our government is violating, how can we count how many different, if you just hear the issues on the candidate pledge, well, here's the first half of it. How many of these things here? These are, and all the items on this pledge came from polling. I didn't pull them out of thin air. It's what the majority of Americans want. And okay, no more what we see them violating the Constitution, going to war.
Constantly.
Freedom of speech, the censorship.
Yep.
We saw, during the pandemic, it was used against conservatives. We learned that in like the Twitter files. But the government has been using companies, like NewsGuard to as a proxy to censor, which is illegal, or excuse me, against. I guess it's illegal. It's against the Constitution. So, and then government transparency. Almost all of these things. Give me a second. I'll pull up the other part. It's blatantly violating the Constitution, and it's almost like it just.
But here's the issue, Kelly.
What do we do?
If I make this an existential threat, which they do every single time, then it's okay. Look, if Republicans are evil, which is what Democrats will say, if Democrats are evil, which what Republicans will say, I have to do whatever it takes to fight evil. So if I gotta, suspend the Constitution or get in your rights, I'm fighting evil. So that's why it's okay when my guy crushes your guys, because my guy is not evil. Your guy is. That's the issue that we have. So you're right, but I can validate my bad behavior. I can validate my destroying the Constitution because the other side's evil. See, the left is communists. So I got to stop the commies. So your freedom goes away.
Oh yeah, we should. Do you guys want to jump right into that? I have been we've been kind of touching on it, right, Michael? But I think you're a perfect person to talk about this, Larry. The whole, like I said in your chat, I believe it's just all theater, political theater. Because, I was a Bernie supporter. Just real quick, my voting history for any of your viewers that have no idea where. I'm an independent. But I voted for Nader. I voted for Democrats 3 times, including Obama twice. And then I went back green, but I have voted Libertarian down ballot. So just so you know where I'm coming from. But I am fiercely independent. But anyway, I just, what is going on now, when I saw, Bernie taking the New York City DSA kind of under his wing and promoting them. And we saw Mamdani, at the school with the kids in New York with Obama. You're hanging out with a war criminal. To me, I've been kind of shocked at how quickly they have flipped. But I knew it was coming, and so I think they calculated.
Though, doesn't it?
Do what?
It makes sense, though. Like,
well,
it
right,
does
but they're
make
doing
sense.
it. I think they're doing it. They set it up. It kills 2 birds with 1 stone, right? It corrals voters back to voting blue, right? And it also, then they're splashing across the headlines, socialism wins, which is like triggering to people on the right or independent right-ish leaning, right? And one thing I read about the Mom Donnie's child care, and unless maybe you know more, you're in New York, Larry, but the last thing I read was that it was going to cover 40 kids. 40.
It's actually going to cover, in theory, about 2,000.
But not, it's going to take a while though, right? I mean,
Well,
I'm just
it'll take
saying.
over a year. It'll take over a year to come about 2,000. And there's about 1 million kids total in New York City, about
Right.
2 million across the country, across the state. And those under, it's probably about 100,000 maybe that are eligible in that area. So there aren't that many that it's going to cover. But the point I'm going to bring up here is the glory of the DSA is for the Democrats, is that it gives Democrats the ability to pretend like they're voting against the Democrats.
Yep.
So this way they could ignore the Green Party.
Yep.
Right? Now, the Republicans don't have that. That's why they're in civil war right now. They had a while ago, they used to have the Tea Party. That was supposedly teaching the Republicans a lesson. I mean, it wasn't, but it was supposed to be that. That's gone now. That's why Tucker is off doing his own thing, because they don't have the equivalent of a DSA in the Republican Party. So that's why. The Republican Party, Trump is Mamdani from years ago.
Yes.
Right? Trump is Mamdani from years ago. Charismatic, didn't have experience, came in as the rebel, and now has been completely co-opted. Right? Mamdani has been co-opted yet. He's on his way, but not yet. Right?
Yeah.
Trump wasn't when he first came either. When Trump first came, he wasn't completely co-opted. He now is, but he wasn't.
Explain that a little more. I mean, I think for some people that's really confusing, but I actually played a clip, I think it was last week, of Daniel Davis's Deep Dive podcast, where he made this point that really the story is with Trump in 2016 and with Mamdani now. The story, now there are differences obviously in the voters that supported each of them, but the story is really about the voters, that they're fed up and that they were voting for change. And that's
we've been trying to get a rebel since 2008. We all thought Obama was a rebel. He wasn't, but we thought Obama was. No, let's not forget something. People who sit here and tell me all the time, America's racist, America's sexist. First off, we voted for Obama twice. Not once, twice. Second, Hillary Clinton won the popular vote. We voted for a woman in 2016. She won the popular vote. We were looking for a rebel for decades. We wanted to have Obama. We thought it was a rebel. He wasn't, but we thought he was. We thought Bernie was a rebel. That's why he was going to win the Democratic primary. The Democratic establishment went, oh, we can't have that. And they completely screwed him over. And when they did, what happened? About 1/3 of those Bernie people held their nose and voted for Hillary. Another 1/3 said, I'm out, and walked away and voted green or whatever they did. Mm-hmm. But another 1/3 voted for Trump.
Yep.
Why'd they vote for Trump? Yes, because most people did not know what his policies actually were, Trump's or Bernie's. They just knew he was a rebel, and they wanted a rebel. And when they got rid of Bernie's rebel, they went, who's the next rebel? Oh, Trump, he's a rebel. Let's go for that guy. And they went for that guy.
I remember seeing was 12% of Bernie supporters, but maybe, I don't know. I mean, that was just one that I remember seeing at the time. The 12, but you probably got something more updated than that. But the point.
Oh, I don't know. I'm pulling numbers out. I mean, I could be wrong, but it was a chunk.
Yeah, it was a chunk, yes. and a lot of people don't want to hear that. But Griselda, what do you think? I mean, with you're in a Democrat kind of stronghold. Can you, when you talk to people about this, that you know the Democrats are fooling you, do you feel like there's more understanding of that, or are they receptive to you as a Green, or do you get, is there an age divide too there? I bet there is.
So I feel like a lot of what happened with the presidential campaign with Kamala and Trump and that smear campaign that they did really impacted the image with the Green Party, because it's like now it's stuck in people's head. It's kind of stigmatized the Green Party. So anyone that I was trying to talk to, any of the members in the party that when we were petitioning, we did get some signatures. Some felt like, you know what, you guys deserve to be on the ballot, but others were like, we need a third party, but not right now. And then I'm like,
not right now.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So just hearing things like that, or just saying that we'll need you, but not at this time. Just keep doing what you're doing, though, you know. Or just hearing people say we need another party, but I'm like, hi, I'm right here, you know. So it's it's there was a lot of like fear with that too, with others that didn't want to even sign a petition, because once they hear, oh, you're with the Green Party, like, I don't know. So there's that, but then many also don't know, and we're shocked when we're telling them, well, this is the amount that this position for governor, one has to collect many signatures as compared to the 5,000 that the major party have to collect. So a lot of them are not informed about that and are unaware of the unfairness that exists with that. So many would sign on to that too, but I think a lot of the issue is that people really, and some that I'm seeing also, even with Governor Pritzker, they feel like he's not strong enough to be the fighter that they want, but they feel like there's no other choice until we can get a progressive. And I'm like, hi, right
Yeah.
here. So it's like every single time, it's like kind of being invisible there, right? And running in their shadows. So
The
it's
billionaire.
it's very challenging, but it's also very obvious how they're co-opting the movement, co-opting these revolutionary ideas, right? And you can tell how they're
Mhm.
using DSA as a way to kind of garner the voters back this way.
Oh,
And it
yeah.
was
yes.
obvious to me when I saw, AOC cozying up with Mondani, and then also when they started calling DSA communists, so it's like you can see them starting to roll out, and that's what they do. This is a pattern within the Democrat Republican establishment. This is what they constantly do. And it's like trying to get people to wake up. So I challenge this narrative and just point these things out. I'm like, we have to pay attention. This is a pattern. They don't really change up their playbook. They're not as smart as we think they are. This is what they often do. I'm like, you guys have to remember, COINTELPRO exists for a reason. They tell us what they fear the most. They tell us every single time, it's in our faces, but we're not paying attention or using critical thinking, and also paying attention to the fact that when it comes to election season, again, another pattern, they're doing the most, signing all these bills and whatnot, but they don't take effect so many years later, but they're just the bare minimum. But it's only enough to say, hey, look what I'm doing, like me, vote for me. And then after the election, we're nowhere to be found again. We only matter during the election is just to garner votes. So we're constantly being breadcrumb. And just like you mentioned with the presidential campaign with Kamala, oh, we don't want to go back, right? Women's right. Well, why wasn't Roe v. Wade codified decades ago? Why are we still dealing with this? Like, this
On
is
that note,
go
I
ahead.
have a clip I would love to play.
Yeah.
In 2024, when I was hosting candidates for Assange with Matt Ho, we had an independent candidate out in Colorado, and she asked me if I would be interested in running a live stream. Let's see, this clip is about 2 minutes. I may cut it short if it's drags on a bit, but this is attorney Wendy Murphy. I don't know if you've ever heard anything about the ERA and how, if it had been just published in the Constitution. Now, there's some argument about this, but I guess from what I understand, most constitutional lawyers agree that if they had just done this, then the whole Roe v. Wade thing's kind of a moot point. I'd love to hear your take, Larry, but all right, let's play this. This is attorney Wendy Murphy.
When I filed my lawsuit, when the both lawsuits were filed, the Trump administration was in office. He blocked the ERA with that letter from the Department of Justice. His Department of Justice also fought against both lawsuits and argued that the ERA was not valid. Women very much then eagerly voted for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris in 2020. In the 2020 presidential election, both of them said they supported the ERA. So women voted very aggressively for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. And as soon as Joe Biden got into office, we waited for two things. One, unblock the ERA, rescind that letter from the Department of Justice, preventing publication of the ERA, and stop fighting against our lawsuits. And guess what happened? Joe Biden kept fighting against me in my lawsuit, argued against me in the First Circuit when I appealed, and adamantly opposed women's equality in his briefs and in oral argument. And he made exactly the same arguments in his briefs that the Trump Department of Justice had made against me in their briefs before Biden took over. And to this day, President Biden is blocking the ERA, not only because he hasn't rescinded the Trump administration's block on the ERA, he added his own. So where are we today? We now have this unfortunate moment in time where we have watched both parties very aggressively oppose women's equality in this country without justification, without any legitimate argument beyond technical legal things about deadlines. It's not Equality is more important than the damn deadline. And let me be clear, many constitutional scholars agree with us that the deadline is not valid. So the question is now, how can any woman in this country vote for either of the major parties' candidates, knowing that neither of them support our right to basic legal equality under the United States Constitution?
All of that while Kamala Harris was driving around a big reproductive rights bus during the campaign.
Why in the world would they ever in the world fix it?
Right.
Now
Right.
they can now they can just say Trump hates women. You have to vote for me because Trump's a misogynist.
Yep.
Why would they ever fix it?
Yep.
Right? To this day in New York State, this is New York State, my governor, Kathy Hochul, still runs on women's reproductive rights. And I want to be clear, in New York State, it's a done deal. We already have it in our Constitution. We have it in law. The Democrats control with a supermajority the Senate and the Assembly. No Republican has won any statewide election in my state in 24 years. There is zero chance of women's reproductive rights being affected in any way, shape, or form. Democrats control all of our courts, all of them. And she still runs on it. Like, you got to protect women's rights. Not in New York State. It's not a thing. Now, some states it's true. Not in my state. In my state, it's not an issue. It is physically impossible. And they still run on it because they want to run on stuff that divides us. Fear. I'm not going to fix anything. Are you going to make things better, Governor? No. I'm going to protect you from the other. That's the reason why.
Yeah, they run a very good narrative, and it's what I dislike is what I personally have analyzed is that this is a form of abuse on us mentally, right, and emotionally when they use these causes that are so important to us, and they just wave it over our heads like, here, I'm going to protect you from this, or here, I'm going to try to get you this, but they don't, right? And we see time and time again that we're still trying to fight for these things that we still don't have, or they make us fear that we're going to lose it. So it's like they're fear mongering consistently. And it's a lot of projection. Everything they say about the other party is really what they're doing themselves, right? So it's the propaganda and the acting that they do. I find it very abusive in how they treat the American people and how they've been doing it for decades. And I try to wake people up to that. I know that my background is getting really involved in it, but the truth be told is that there is psychology in politics. Franz Fanon spoke about this, and people are being colonized. Propaganda, that's all using psychology, right? It's about controlling perception and how one sees the other, right? And this is what's happening all the time. And this is why we got to use critical thinking. It's very important, and why they don't like woke, right? That's simply awareness. And this is why I try to challenge the narrative all the time and get people to think, like, if they really care, they wouldn't be doing things like this to us. They wouldn't be dangling these rights that are essential to us that we should have, that we're constantly fighting for. But this is what they do because they want to secure their jobs. They're self-serving, and they only care about the people they're loyal to, which is the ones that fund them. This is why we're always on the back burner. They don't care about us. And this is why we need to have a change. And I try to, also challenge the perception as well. If we maintain, the system or vote blue no matter who, then I'm going to take it a step further, not as a punitive manner, but more of a at what point, we're arguing about holding politicians accountable. What does that actually look like? Because at this point, if we maintain the system and continue to have Democrats and Republicans in place, then when as a society, when are we going to hold ourselves accountable for maintaining the system that causes harm, not only here at home, but globally as well? Because that's also a problem that needs to be addressed. Because now there is awareness. Before, because of all this conditioning, I get it. It's no fault of the people of the public's own, right? But now that there's so much awareness, especially with Palestine, and everybody's waking up, seeing the truth, right? The veil is no longer there. Now, when are we going to be held accountable for what we do? The world has a right to hold us accountable because of that. We are aware of what's going on. We know if we keep them in place, this is going to continue. There is no intentions of wanting to help humanity whatsoever or protect our environment. So why are we doing this? Why are we're supporting our oppressors? Why are we doing that? Right?
It's because the empire is burning. They all know the empire is burning, and they're grifting while the grifting's good. That's the reality. They know this is unsustainable. They know it's all burning down. All of them do, right? Yeah. They know it. The Republicans in my state literally said to me, "Oh, don't worry. we're going to have a successful failure. That was their words. Successful failure. And what that means is they will raise a lot of money from Republicans who are desperate. They'll still lose. They'll still have Mamdani as an evil man they can point at and still raise money off him while having no responsibility for the state.
Right.
I would argue there are a lot of Democrats that are very happy Trump is president. And I mean Democratic leaders, not the people. The average person cannot stay. The average Democrat hates Trump. The average Democrat hates Trump. But the average Democratic leader is like, glad that guy's in charge. He can fight stupid wars and we can blame him while we get tons of money, even though we would have voted for the war 100%. But we
feed
can
off
blame
each
Trump.
other.
Of course, they would. Democrats would have totally voted for this war too. But they can now blame Trump and go, well, it's Trump's war. See, I would have never done that. Yes, they would have. And they act that way, of course. So they're happy Trump is president. And they're happy Mamdani is the governor of the mayor of New York City. They love that. Democrats are happy Trump is president and Republicans are happy Mamdani is mayor of New York City. I'm sorry, leadership. The individual people hate it. Leadership loves it. They raise tons of money off it.
And that's not true socialism that they try to preach on, especially when AOC calls it to Mamdani. I call that socialism by proxy, right? Because that's what they're trying to lean on, and because that's what's being popular, so they can, get the people to come back to me kind of again, right? That's the game that they play. It's bad cop, good cop. That's what they do. They feed off each other, right? And we need to become aware of that. And when I study more of the Black Panther Party and whatnot, and the importance of educating and whatnot, and just realizing that they're not for us and they're not going to be for us and they never will be. This system, again, was not intended.
Well, that's why they changed the words. If you remember, Republicans used to call Democrats socialist. Well, now that's not a bad word anymore. So now they call them communists.
Yeah,
because then that's the bad word now, right? But then Democrats now call themselves socialists because that's not a good word. So the Democrats go, I'm a socialist. I'm a Democratic socialist because that's a good word now. And the Republicans, they're all communists because that's a bad word now. Now, none of their policies have changed at all. Just the rhetoric changed. That's it.
Yeah, and the label, it's just it's a lot of wordplay. Same thing when it comes to the Judaism and the Zionism, right? When one is advocating for these lives and one is being called an anti-Semitic, no, we know exactly what we're talking about, but they want to label everyone as anti-Semitic to excuse or manufacture consent for what's going on with the genocide. It's a lot of wordplay that they use. And
that becomes the woke right.
Yeah.
Right? The woke left, the worst part about the woke left, and some of you may not like it, but it's true, was their horrible judging of words. That was the worst part. You said one bad word, you were an hysterophobe. That was the worst part about what I guess AOC would call woke one. Is that what she calls it, right? Whatever woke one was, right? That was the worst part, you said one word wrong and you were now an hysterophobe. Now Republicans do that with Israel. You say one thing wrong, you're an anti-Semite. Doesn't matter. They've swapped. They've absolutely swapped.
That's right.
You mentioned I'm sorry, Michael. Go ahead.
No, I was just laughing. It is true.
You
It is
mentioned
true.
the gaslighting. Does anybody mind if I pick on Crystal Ball from Breaking Points?
Go for it.
You mean Crystal Ball Buster? Go ahead, please.
Yeah. Okay, so this was from 2020, and I hit.
Hold on, her show is not Breaking Points. Her show is Crystal and Friends because she dominates that show so much. She's made sure everyone else gets crushed in it.
Well, this
I'm
clip
just
is
joking. Go ahead.
a minute and 20 seconds. It's from 2020, and when I heard this, I just hit the ceiling. I was livid when you were talking about the projection and the manipulation. And I think it's important, and it just happens to be her. There's plenty of other independent media that I think is doing the same thing, or do we even know if they're independent? I don't know. But okay, here we go. See if you guys take this the way I did. It has captions as well.
Because whether they want to admit it or not, they do in fact need us in order to win. Now, they would certainly prefer not to have to give up anything of substance in order to get us on board. But in fact, they're
I didn't, for some reason, it's not starting at the beginning. Hold on a second.
Because whether they want to admit it or not, they do in fact need us in order to win. Now, they would certainly prefer not to have to give up anything of substance in order to get us on board. But in fact, their fixation on Trump and Trump alone does give us an advantage. The only question, and it's a big one, is if we're willing to use it. If we're actually willing in a coordinated fashion to make demands and be willing to withhold our votes. Individual voters here and there making their own unaffiliated decisions are, in fact, powerless. But as always, solidarity could be powerful. The only question, and again, it is an incredibly weighty one, is whether we're actually willing to grab that power and risk actually being the reason that Trump is reelected. Because while I think it's highly likely that because of their anti-Trump desperation, Democrats would cave to virtually any demands backed up by a truly credible threat, there's of course a chance that they don't. And there's of course a chance that such a coordinated anti-Biden opposition from the left would in fact result in a Trump reelection. And let's not sugarcoat what that means. It means being ready to carry the Trump admin's actions on your conscience, including the orphan babies at the border, the footsie with white nationalists, the deadly level of sheer incompetence. It means being willing to be absolutely and thoroughly despised, seen as true villains, or perhaps an even greater magnitude than Trump.
Well said.
Could you guys see and hear that okay?
Yeah, to be forward, she's absolutely right. She's 100% correct. And you saw that it failed with the Democrats and voting for Medicare for all. And you saw that work with Republicans forcing the vote to make sure that Trump got what he wanted.
But now when you say she's right, what I heard was, first of all, individual voters are powerless. So it's like reinforcing that message. You don't have any power as an unaffiliated voter. Now you could argue if
is that what she was talking about? I thought she was talking about the left in the Republican Party. Maybe I missed what she was talking about. I thought she was talking about the idea of forced to vote back then. Forced to vote back then. The Democrats were trying to get people to vote for Medicare for all and get Democrats on the record on whether they supported Medicare for all or not.
No, this
and the Democrats wouldn't do it.
Was
it really?
The 2020 election season. Like she was saying, if you don't vote for Biden, you're going to be responsible for Trump winning. So just major gaslighting.
Okay, I misunderstood. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. I'll send it to you. You can play it on your show if you like. But so then she goes on to say, are you willing to be the reason that Biden loses? That's not on the voters if they don't provide something for the voters to vote for. And then she's like,
Right.
are you willing to have the Trump administration's actions on your conscience? And I don't know. I was just livid when I heard that because people.
I cannot wait for me to be that guy.
Right.
I can't wait to be that guy. I cannot wait to be the guy. And they do it to me all the time. They tell me all the time, Larry, you're the reason why Hochul's the governor. You split the vote. I wasn't on the ballot in 2022, but somehow I split the vote. I wasn't even on the ballot and I split the vote. I'm that good that I could split the vote without being on the ballot. But yeah, they say all the time, I can't wait. And my point being, and I tell people this, look, the reality of it is, in most of these elections, it's already set. Kathy Hochul is going to win coming up here in my state. There's no way she's not going to win. The question is, are you prepared to build something for the future? Are you prepared to show her that you have power? Because all she respects is power, nothing else. Are you going to show her that you have 3, 4, 5, 6% of the vote, that now when she wants to make this next vote, you have to tell her, don't do it, or I'll take my 4 or 5% away? Are you prepared to build something that will push her back or not? That's the real issue.
Yeah. Oh, did we lose Michael? Oh, there he is.
But I'll go one step further, and this is the part that I would bring up constantly. And this is for Democrats. The Democrats, it's their fault that Trump's president now.
Right.
All they had to do was do one thing, and only one thing: run a primary. If they had just been Democratic, that's it. What they say they are. RFK Jr. would have never left the party. He was a Democrat. He would have run a Democratic primary. If RFK Jr. runs Democratic primary, one of two things happens. One, Kamala Harris becomes a much better candidate. She was a terrible candidate. She had no personality of her own, no story of her own, no nothing. It was vibes. It was a total vibes thing, right? So she either would have become a better candidate through that primary process, or someone else would win the primary and the Democrats would have a better candidate. Either way, they get a better candidate, either through the trial and error of Kamala being a better candidate or through another one winning. Not just that. Now RFK Jr. doesn't leave the party. he probably joins whoever and says, please just take on my stuff on yours. And Democrats will go, okay, fine, just don't leave. We'll take your stuff. In which case now Democrats probably beat Trump. All they had to do was run a primary. That's it. But they wouldn't.
Very early on, though, was acting surprised that the Democrats don't have fair primaries. When the DNC fraud lawsuit, I mean, it's right there. They know. That was game too.
No. I know the RFK people very, very, very closely. I know them very well. I worked for his PAC. I raised money for him when he was running independent. I know him very well. They did not know that.
Really?
They were absolutely ignorant to it completely. Yes, they were. All of them were. They had no clue.
Well,
they had no idea how bad it was going to be. Most people don't know how tough this is. They don't. Here's the problem. They can't believe it's so corrupt because it's their party. Moving forward, most Republicans don't know how bad the Republican Party is. They assume they're all patriots and care about stuff until all of a sudden they run and they get sued off the ballot, or they get ignored because they're not the right kind of person, or whatever begins to happen. They go, wait a minute, what happened? I thought this was. They can't. They don't want to accept their parties, the bad ones, because they've told the other guys are evil for so long. They just can't imagine their parties.
It's on both sides. So what do you guys think? What do you think is going to happen? I mean, this election, 2028. You've done this for a long time, Larry. I guess
Trump is not gonna finish his term. Not gonna happen. J.D. Vance is gonna be president of the United States sometime within the next year or so. He's gonna be president of the United States the next year or so. He's not gonna finish his term. The Democrats are gonna sweep badly in this coming up here election because they still love Mamdani. They still love Kathy. See, I live in New York City. They love Mamdani. They love him. They love him. He says stuff. They clap all day long. They can't get enough. The press is still good to him. You see AOC killing it. She's out there doing her stuff, and they love her. That's gonna do just great until November. Democrats gonna do great in November. They're gonna smash Republicans badly, and once that happens, Trump has done something very silly. Trump has taken the people who actually love him and he's thrown them out.
Yeah.
MTG used to love him. She'd have killed somebody for him. Right? Lauren Boebert loved him. Tucker Carlson was out there in a campaign trail like no tomorrow. Joe Kent joined up because of him. I mean, they loved him. He threw all of them out, and he surrounded himself with neocons. Neocons don't care about Trump. Neocons use him as a tool. They don't care about him at all. As soon as he's no longer a good tool, they will turn on him. And when they turn on him, J.D. Vance, it will make a deal. He's a crypto bro. He'll make a deal with the neocons. Whatever deal he'll make, he'll be vice president. He'll run in 2028. He may or may not win. Depends on what kind of deal he makes with the neocons. He makes a good deal with the neocons, he wins the nomination. He doesn't, Marco Rubio's a nominee. That's how that works. The Democrats, AOC's not running for president. She's running for Senate, New York State. She's not running for president. She might pick up a VP slot, maybe, depending upon who's running for president in 2028. She's valuable. Because the advantage of running in the primary is you get more publicity and you also may get a cabinet spot. So a lot of Democrats are going to run in the primary to get a cabinet spot, not to actually win, and that will happen. So you'll see that happen with Democrats. Third parties are in trouble. Now, here's the best part, though. Tucker Carlson's party has the best possible chance to create a third party ever since the Republicans of the 1860s.
Now, and they may not do a party, though. I've heard that kind of. It seemed initially like they weren't really saying that. They even used the words coalition. I heard Joe Kent say a movement, and then Pierce Morgan kind of pushed him like, is it going to be a party? And then people took off with that online.
Yeah, it may not be. That's why I didn't say it was going to happen. I said it's the best chance. But I wonder, because they're actually talking about ballot access, which they've never talked about before. And they have money, and to make a third party actually work in America, it has to have two things. The last time it worked was the Republicans. Most people don't know Republicans were a third party, right? And what happened was they had two things. One, they had big personalities. They had Frederick Douglass. They had Abraham Lincoln. These are all Republicans back in the 1850s, 1860s. They had heavy hitters. That's number one. Number two, they had an actual issue, which was abolition. The Whigs were not for abolition. They wouldn't do it. The Republicans at that point were for abolition, and they had heavy hitters. Right now, this third party has heavy hitters. Tucker Carlson, MTG, Massey, Kent, these are heavy hitters. The question is, do they have an issue? They're trying to make the issue anti-war or foreign policy or something.
How about
If
this?
that works, the no more war. Yes, if no more war is the issue, they have a chance of becoming a real third party. If not, they won't.
Now, okay, I'm sorry, Griselda. I'm going to toss it to you in just a sec. Do you think, though, would they not be more effective? I mean, I've heard some not happy libertarians about this idea because they're like, we already have this party. But would they not be more effective if they really are genuine? And that's what I'm kind of watching. If they're really genuine, then why not form like a coalition, kind of like what we're doing? And we're tiny. We can't get the views on this. But
that's what they will do. What they will do is they will do a mix match of ballot access to get 50 states.
That would be good. But
that's what they'll do.
Okay.
That's what you're right. That's what they'll do. They'll say, how many do you have? How many do you have? And they'll try to make deals with parties to maintain ballot access, which makes sense, right? So they would go to, say, the Greens and go, hey, the Greens, you guys are in Wisconsin. We're not. Can we make a deal with you? Make it transactional. Let us be on the ballot. You'll gain ballot access in Wisconsin. You'll run our guy at the top of the ticket. You run whoever you want the bottom of the ticket. Even though I'm not a Green Party, will you make a deal? Some state affiliates will do so. Some won't. They'll have to find the right state affiliates and mix and match to find the right amount. They'll ask Libertarians. They'll ask Constitution Party. They'll ask different parties to see which ones will do it. Some will fight back. Some won't. The Greens are aggressive in not using and not having other people on.
Yeah.
Libertarians and Constitution are not. So they'll have an easier time getting them. But the Greens might turn because they want to get ballot access. Who knows? I don't know how the state affiliates work. I don't know how they work. Nationally, the Greens would never do it. But statewide, who knows? I don't know what the state affiliates would do.
What do you think, Griselda? I mean, really, do you think progressive voters are going to go for that crew?
For the Democrats?
No, hold on. The progressive voter, I'm not saying they're not going to go for that crew. What I said is, would a state affiliate Green Party or any other party might accept it for the top of the ticket to get ballot access in an actual transaction. It's a transactional deal saying, guys, they're not Greens. We want ballot access. Let's keep them at the top of the ticket, and we're going to run all our people bottom of the ticket. That might happen, but I'm not saying they're going to love them at all.
But as far as like popular or just the news cycle and popular opinion, I see that being a problem with MTG, and unless you're paying close enough attention to see how her views on Israel.
Yep.
But still, there are a lot of people on the left that are not going to be thrilled about.
Agreed. And the left also has DSA. Good point.
Yeah.
Right.
So I know I've been seeing, I don't know, I have a feeling that's more so going to be probably leaning more towards independence. I know that when I run as a writer, and I'm not going to be running as a Green Party, the rules won't, because of that, the rules won't allow me to be affiliated with a party. So I'm just going to be independent now moving forward. But even NPR of Illinois, late July, published an article about seeing an increase of voters looking forward towards independence more. And just even criticizing that, is this more of a label change or not? Because some of the independents that are running, they're from a former major party, either they're a Republican or Democrat, but only because that name no longer is good anymore. So it's like one of the things we're questioning, is this true, genuine change? Which is I question too. I'm like, you guys, much of the core policy or what they stand for really isn't changing. It's just the name. So I'm seeing it as just a wardrobe change.
Yes.
So are we getting really a true change? Are we doing really a clean a clean break versus that the dirty break, right? And I'm for the clean break personally, but I really think that a lot of the people, at least from what I'm seeing, my perspective is that many folks are running away from Democrats, even AOC and Mandami, especially when the new recent issue that came out with abolish or defund the police, right? So that's also something that's coming up. So they're starting to, so even though they were using the DSA, they're communists and whatnot, trying to, cozy up to them, but also push them away to get them to blue, it's backfiring on them still. So more people are like, no, we're not for this. They're both one and the same, right? So I think a lot more people are leaning more towards independent, trying to break away completely, even within DSA, because I'm in some of these coalitions as well, and just hearing the conversations, within DSA and within PSL, from what I've seen here, there's a divide within because they want to continue with their way or pushing for progressive within the Democratic Party. And then some chapters in different regions are like, no, we want to break away completely from them, right? So it's seeing this divide within them as well. So they're not doing so well, period. Their foundation is truly crumbling. The empire is going to fall. But I really do see independence really going up there. But it's more so they're also people are starting to use discernment more and paying attention to what they say. Like I said recently with what happened with Mandami and AOC when it comes to defund the police, they're like, oh, you guys are backtracking on that, right? You know, and then or let's rebuild the Democratic Party. We're like, no, that's not what we want to rebuild. The violent infrastructure is bipartisan between the unilateral party. We know this. We know that
Yep.
this is true. So it's now more people are like, we need someone that's not associated with either one. So it's not just a PAC, it's any kind of PAC money, right? Anyone that's taking any kind of money or being influenced by lobbyists, we don't want them. Who's truly going to put the people first versus someone that's coming from a Republican Party? Because we do have an independent that's running governor here. He's a former Republican. You know, so it's like now we have two Republicans or three because I don't really consider the blue true Democrats. I don't think we've ever really had democracy when you still had oppression and injustice here and true inequity and within our systems for decades. So I don't think democracy really existed. People think they're fighting for democracy. No, you're just fighting for your comfort and safety. That's what you're fighting for. But really now you're realizing it was always going to be threatened no matter what if you didn't align. Right. So I don't know. I think that there's going to be an increase of independence. I think there's going to be a big change. It's going to be quite surprising to even both the establishment. I don't think they're really going to truly survive because, like I said, it's the veil's coming out more and more. People are starting to really see the truth behind the Democratic Party, behind ESA, how they're just trying to really reform when there's no such thing as reform within the Democratic Party. It's too controlled from within. It's not going to change. There's no way it's going to happen. Right, we already understand some certain issues already that's coming out currently. They're not for, like we said, defunding the police or with the Senate and ranked choice voting. They're not for that, and they're not going to be. And people are just getting fed up. They're realizing the truth of it, and it's more so now realizing that we have to come together. I'm with other groups. We're building mutual aid, and we have to pull away from that. But we have to come together and unite and stop falling for this tactic of divide and conquer because that's what gets us every time where we're ignoring what they're doing as they get away with murder. And here we are fighting each other. Like we all have a common enemy. That is them at the top, right? So it's not just a working class movement because there's people, like I said, that don't work as well. I'm trying to be inclusive here with the homeless as well. The system impacts their lives too. We need to come together as humans and realize that it's really the top that we're fighting against, and neither the Republicans or Democrats are going to make any kind of meaningful change, and they're not going to. They know that they're fighting a losing game, and it's only a matter of time before they fall. I do feel like Vance might actually move up. I don't think Trump is going to last. I agree with Larry on that, but that's not going to last either as well. I don't think he's going to win presidency when it comes to that election time as well. I think we're going to see some big changes. Some other candidates coming up. I do see another party trying to be formed. It's a movement of Black people trying to put in other candidates in there now this time. So there's a lot of things that are happening on the ground that are brewing as well. So I think there's going to be some surprises happening for sure.
Yeah, and Michael, did you want to say something? You haven't you haven't jumped in much here.
Oh, that's all right. I'm being Midwest polite, as my friends from the East Coast say that we're out here in Ohio. So no, not at all. Not at all.
I was being in New York bossy
I
because
got.
I'm from New York.
Yeah, I got a few. I mean, I got a few. I got a few notes. You talked a lot about any issue gets swept under the rug. Larry, you were talking about this, and while people may agree on a certain issue, I mean, I ran as an independent candidate out here. I got a funny inside baseball story about when I was running in 2024. I started calling candidates around the country or messaging them online to sign this pledge that I came up with to sign a pledge for a ceasefire in the war in Gaza and to defund Israel. And I searched through everyone's Facebook profiles, and it took me a few weeks, but I messaged in one way, shape, or form every single person running for U.S. House of Representatives in the United States, at least one message to see if they would sign my pledge. Well, I came across an old man in his 70s who was at Kent State. He was actually at the Kent State shooting, and he's been in politics his entire life, and he wanted to tell me who he was. And of course, I could tell this guy's brain was mush. Of course he supported a ceasefire. Of course he did. but he's not going to go on the record and say it publicly because the greater threat is Donald Trump getting elected. And
Oh.
any division in the Democratic Party will help Donald Trump get elected. And while I do speak out of the side of my mouth here and support a ceasefire, I'm not actually going to work with you or sign a pledge or do anything like that because it might help get Donald Trump elected. I mean, how do you have to twist yourself in pretzels like that?
I don't
So
know.
that's one
Remember,
antidote.
the other
That's
guy's
what-
evil, therefore whatever I do is okay.
But I mean, the genocide. I mean, that changed it for me. I used to be more polite, but I'm not. I don't hold back as much now because I just cannot believe that that is still going and that I don't know.
It's awful.
Talk
It's
about
awful.
things being on people's conscience. I mean, I said this in another one of our panels. And a lot of people don't like this, but if you voted for Kamala Harris on November 5th, 2024, because that was the date, you voted for genocide. Because on that day, and it's not just me saying this, I was at an event with for Palestinian families. Oh, it was actually Green Party group, and Jill Stein came. But this woman had lost family, and she said, I wouldn't vote for Trump, but a lot of us actually hope he will win because at least there's we already know what we're getting with Harris. And of course,
Yeah, but Donald Trump's evil.
But I mean, of course, he's
But
been
communism,
terrible on this
whatever.
issue,
I don't know. I made that up. But
yeah.
communism, but fascism. That's
but
the answer.
Point is that if you made that choice, if they're going to gaslight
Right.
people who don't vote for Biden, that they're responsible for Trump's actions, how are you not then responsible if you voted for Harris, who actually was, defending it?
You twist yourself in pretzels.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
I feel people that are playing party politics are there's a comedian and a YouTuber that I watch, and he famously says that people that are in party politics are like adult children of alcoholics. Like you want and see the best, or they're adult grown children that were raised by alcoholic parents, meaning that like we've taken abuse. But we always see the best again. We always think, and we're used to rationalizing and making excuses because if you live with someone who's an alcoholic, they treat it's this ebb and flow. And so voters, we always think we're going to get the best, and we always forget and compartmentalize what they've done to us, how much they've lied to us, how much they've abused us, gaslit us, all that stuff. And we always just like, well, maybe they're good this time.
And that's it goes back to what my comment that I mentioned earlier. It's the system of abuse that we do experience. And I really do feel like ethically the United States government needs to be held accountable for that because it's not right. I personally call it psychological warfare that they use on the people just to do what they want to do for get away what they're doing. But what we saw in that one video that you had mentioned and what you just said as well about if you vote for so-and-so, then you're responsible for this. But that's what they were doing during the 2024 election with the Green Party, right? And a lot of people weren't aware. And it was publicly made by NBC and other news sources that they created the war room and spent maybe like $500,000 or so just to discredit third party and independents, particularly the Green Party, right? And to persuade voters in swing states. And it's like they were telling them, well, if you do this, you're going to split the vote, you're going to get Trump. And it's like, no, that was a manipulation tactic that they did. And I try to remind people, I'm like, everything that you all are fighting for right now was everything that the Green Party actually advocated for. And we need to question, why were the Democrats fighting so hard to, censor that and fighting against Green Party for advocating for human rights? That is inherently a freaking problem that nobody's questioning and wants to talk about. And it shows, it speaks volumes to what they were actually doing, and they did not care. If they truly cared about humanity in any capacity, even here at home, they would not have done that, and they would have aligned with saying, hey, this is wrong. We're going to fight with you guys to fight against fascism. But they did not care. They worked with them to create this. So it's not that Democrats are the reason that Trump won. Democrats work with the Republicans. This was intentional. All of this is going to happen. This is the system. This is how it works, right? So I want to push back and say that when it comes to trying to guilt trip people for voting one side over the other, this is going to be your fault. How can you sit with that with your conscience? Well, It's 2026 now. We can't battle with cognitive dissonance anymore. And I just want to be honest here. What really happened is that the Democratic voters and Republicans, what they did, they convinced anyone to vote for either side. And what they did was convince them to negotiate for their life over the lives overseas. That's really what
Well,
happened. People negotiated their lives in
Right.
safety over the lives of the Palestinians. And that's what happened. And that's what everybody literally voted for. That is a hard pill to swallow, but it's the truth. And that's what
Right.
happened.
so
Right.
let me touch the piece I talked about the Green Party back in 2024. I actually gave them some advice they did not listen to. I said, Greens, you have to do one thing. Take every single dollar and every single volunteer and every single thing you have, every resource you own, throw it all into Michigan. All of it into Michigan. Nothing, no other state matters. Nothing else matters. Remove everybody. Rush into Michigan with everything you have. Ignore every other state. And they were like, why? One, you might win this as possible, but even if you don't, you can be the spoiler that took it away. You could be that. And they were like, well, that's terrible. They hate us. No, you will have shown power. What you don't have. You don't have power. I know Jill Stein. She didn't have power. If she would have actually either won the state, which would have been amazing if she did, or if she would have at least been the difference. Like she had gotten, say the Greens got 10% of the vote or whatever that number would have been, right? And they'd have been the reason. The Greens are the ones who got Trump. Yes, because we have power. So listen to us. So listen, and we'll take the next state next time, and we'll take it every time unless you listen to us. That is the answer, and they don't want that. They make you think you'll feel bad if you're the spoiler. No, you will have shown power, and if you show power, they will listen. The idea is you do want to take it. You want to be the spoiler. I know this because in New York State, where I am, I'm pretty popular relative to independents in New York State. So when there are no close elections, no one calls me. When there are close elections, I get a phone call because they know I own about 2 to 3% of the vote in New York State. Not a lot, but in close elections, it matters. That's when they call me. That's when I'm powerful. That's when they'll bribe me to stay out of a race or something, right? That's when they try to do that stuff because they know I have a little bit of input. If you have input, you have power, they'll move. The Greens' mistake is they didn't throw everything into Michigan and try to be that spoiler.
I want to push back a little bit on that and say that, when it comes to power itself, just generally speaking, outside of that, the people do have power, and they've been given this perception that they don't, but they actually do, or that their power is only in electoral, voting. It's not. The reason why the rich even exist or all of this at all is because of us, the masses, right? We're the ones that actually have the power. We're the hamsters spinning that wheel. Right? We can make this stop as well, but we have to realize that we're the ones with that power. We have that power. It never went away. We've just been convinced that we actually don't have it when we really do.
Right.
And that's part of the narrative. That's all propaganda.
Yep. I just want to be clear too about what I said before. I would not, as a not minority that's in risk of being deported, and I would never vote shame someone who, as I said, if you voted for Harris, I was just illustrating that that's how they manipulate and put the blame on people.
Oh no, I'll vote shame. You don't have to, I will.
Well,
I will
but
vote shame
think
all day.
It depends on who it is. I mean, I'm sorry, but if you're an old white boomer, that you know better, and there's no excuse for that. That's my opinion, but I'm going to stick.
It's not true. If you're an old white boomer, and
you're
I'm not an
politically
old white
engaged
boomer,
enough
but if
to
you're an
know.
old white boomer, life is good for you right now. For most old white
Right,
boomers,
so
not
you
all,
voted for
but for
genocide.
most they are. And the second thing is, if you're an old white boomer, you were raised in a world to where the Russians and the Chinese are evil, the
Right.
commies are bad, right? They're all bad and they're evil. And Mao, every communist is Mao, who's going to kill everybody. Every communist is Stalin because that's what they do. So your world mindset is, I have to be pro-America, oorah, bomb stuff, because that's how you beat commies. I'm not saying they're right. I'm saying I think it's not fair to just assault them because they grew up in that way too. Just like
Yeah,
they have the same biases as other people have.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They were
it's-
propagandized as well, but I
Yes,
guess
absolutely.
I should be more specific to say Democrat activists and people like that.
Oh, I
that-
see what you're saying.
that
Okay.
do know better, So
Yeah.
I should have been clear on that.
And I think that a lot of the Democrats on the left is too, because I also see that the factions within the left as well is also shaming, or just like even with us, with if they don't want to align like PSLD or say certain chapters, right? And it's like I try to get them to try to see like you guys are also falling for the propaganda, because if you think that we are not the same, that we shouldn't align and fight together, then you're falling for the bait too, and it's only allowing them to win another day and us lose even more. The more that we remain divided, the more that they're going to continue to do what they're doing, and this is their tactic, this is the trick, and we keep falling for it. Right. So don't shame anyone for this. Understand that everyone has fallen victim to the propaganda, to the manipulation tactics, to the abuse. That is everyone here in the United States. But now that we're waking up, we need to strategize, and we're not doing that. Right.
Right.
To come together and strategize and realize that the common enemy, everyone is being oppressed, not one person, not the other, everyone. They don't care who it is, as long as they get away with it, and that's all that matters. Right. We see a lot of.
Did you mention COINTELPRO a bit ago? I
Yes.
think you did. Okay.
She did.
Yeah.
That's something
I heard that. I heard her.
Well, continue. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, but yeah, I mean, and that's why I tell people, like, you know, in times like this as well, like we have to be mindful, like when it comes to the DSA and the left and them trying to co-opt it. Like I said before, the government has shown us their Achilles heel. They've shown us what threatens them, and yeah, we're not taking advantage of that. You know, revolutionaries in the past, Malcolm X, Fred Hampton, they told us what we needed to do. A lot of leftists as well, different groups, they're constantly quoting them. I'm like, but what are we actually doing? We're not putting into action. We're quoting them a lot, but we're not doing what they told us to do. We have the answers. We have the blueprint. Government keeps showing us what they don't want. They don't want us to unite. They don't want us to realize that we have this power. We withdraw from the system and say no and kick them out of their seats. You know, they're trying to maintain their jobs. This is why they work so hard doing what they do. And so they can maintain their seats and they can maintain that quote unquote power that they think they have. But really, they know we're the ones with the power. But if we wake up and realize that, it's over for them.
Exactly. Yes. Thank you. Exactly. And when I see people saying, don't vote, we're not going to vote our way out of this, electoral politics isn't the answer. It's just so frustrating because I'm sure they're just repeating, you know, what they've been told and the propaganda, but we absolutely do have that power. And you can see with that cartoon I put up earlier,
That's right.
that 90
That's
million
right.
people didn't vote. So we just have to change that. Larry, do you want to say where people, I think everyone knows where to find you, but and how they can support your campaign?
You can just Google LarrySharpe.com. Google Larry Sharpe. I'm the most popular Larry Sharpe in the country. There aren't many Larry Sharpes. I'm very lucky. So yes, I'm the most popular one. You can check out my show, The Sharpe Way. You can see it here, The Sharpe Way. If you want to check out my show, it's almost every night, 7 p.m. Check it out if you want to. Connect to me on all of the socials. All good. I hope to hear from all of you.
Okay. And Griselda.
You guys can find me on all the socials as well at Griselda4Illinois.com. That's Griselda, the number 4Illinois.com. And as I mentioned, I will still be running in November, but I will be now considered as an independent. So look for me and Edie on our social media. We'll be providing an update and more information on what we'll be doing on the ground as well.
Okay, great. All right. Thank you both so much.
Thank you.